Hello, this is Duke from Duke It Out, and welcome to another episode of Weekly 5. And before we get into any wrestling news topics, I do want to promote my last video real fast. Me and my friend played a game of 2 truths, 1 lie with some wrestling storylines and facts, and he is not a wrestling fan, so I made sure to make it extra ridiculous. And it's definitely the funniest video I've ever made, the one I've had to work on the most when it comes to editing. And in general, it's the video I'm most proud of, so I'd really appreciate it to check it out if you haven't. But now, let's get into some wrestling news. Number 1, Triple H and TBar. Triple H leading creative has become instantly stated on screen, with Dakota and Io popping up at SummerSlam to Scarlett and Karrion Kross returning to the company and is immediately put into a segment with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. And while some of Hunter's top stars in the black and gold NXT were still signed with the company, but most of them were given terrible booking or being renamed to something that is very stupid. That included Dominik Dijakovic. In NXT, he had a Match of the Year candidate with Keith Lee and was a part of the main event at TakeOver War Games 2019. But since then, he debuted in the main roster as a part of one of the worst booked factions ever, Retribution, and has been stuck with the name TBar. But according to PW Insider, Triple H is aiming to repackage TBar very soon, more than likely just letting him go back to his original gimmick. But I bet this is the one of many things to be excited about with the many changes from Triple H. Number 2, Bray Wyatt's message about pro wrestling. I've mentioned before on Weekly 5 of Bray Wyatt / Wyndham Rotunda leaving out some messages on Twitter that makes fans wonder of what his wrestling future is going to be. And that has been added with a much longer post. I won't read its entirety because I think it's worth taking a look at on your own, but one of his most passionate portions describing pro wrestling was when he said, "It's an escape. A reason to point the blame on anyone but yourself for 2 to 3 hours. An excuse to be a kid again. And nothing matters except the moment we are in. Wrestling is not a love story. It's hope." Wyndham needs to get back in the business as soon as possible. And he left more confusion with his account name being Wyatt6, and in the tweet he wrote Wyndham6. Hopefully soon we find out where he's going to be in the world of wrestling. Number 3, update on CM Punk. CM Punk had suffered a terrible foot injury just 5 days after being crowned AEW World Champion. Tony Khan has made statements that Punk is not behind in his recovery, and he was able to be on the panel for AEW at Comic-Con. There had been some hopes that Punk could make his return by All Out, since it's in Chicago and can build to a great main event with Moxley. But with Punk crushing his foot, it seems that it may take a bit longer to recover. And Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that Punk was still hurting pretty bad. While we could still get an appearance because it's an easy pop, but we're probably not going to see anything physical. Number 4, AEW's contact with MJF. Since MJF's insane pipe bomb on the Dynamite after Double or Nothing, he has not been seen on television whatsoever, and was removed from the website's roster. And while many fans, including me, were thinking he'd be returning by this point, Fightful has reported that MJF has pretty much vanished and that pretty much anyone in AEW hasn't been able to get a hold of him. And it's been that way since he cut that promo, apparently. MJF has had reports of being in LA to take on acting roles and was also spotted filming with the Impractical Jokers. So there could be chances that they're working out MJF ending his AEW contract and going to WWE, or surprising us all and getting the big raise and push in AEW that he requested for. It's all up in the air right now, and is definitely one of the most interesting blurred lines in recent wrestling history. And number 5, Miro being unhappy with AEW. Speaking of heat with AEW, Miro returned ironically the same night as that MJF promo, and since then he hasn't had a ton of highlights besides from almost capturing the All-Atlantic Championship, and slowly building to either feuding with or joining the House of Black. But this past Friday on Rampage, Jon Moxley had a title eliminator match against Mance Warner, and Miro tweeted out, "Who's this guy that is fighting for the title?" A signal that Miro's thinking he should have that chance, and someone replied with the tweet saying that he had it better in WWE, and Miro liked the tweet. He is one of those people that is really good at trolling the fans, so this could mean nothing, but with Triple H being in creative, it makes any news more believable now. Is Rusev Day coming back? We'll see. So that was another episode of Weekly 5. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and duke out your opinions below in the comments.
never sleep in a cabinet they call a dorm. Sockeye on the beat, never missing my form, but I'm my worst critic. Look at the pages torn.